More cyber attacks and data breaches happening. Mortgage giant Mr. Cooper's latest data breach affects 14.7 million people. Ransomware gang unseizes its site and issues new threats after FBI takedown. And FBI disrupts Black Cat ransomware operation, creates decryption tool. Now, don't ignore the warning signs, folks. Click the link down below and stay protected from the coming wave of quantum security breaches and cyber attacks before it's too late. And I had told you guys in a previous video that we should keep an eye out for rich folks getting multiple passports as a sign of something bad that's about to happen. And released just hours ago, it's already happening. And the UAE has been handing out travel credentials to select foreign billionaires, businessmen, and celebrities. Hedge fund boss Ray Dalio has one. So do star DJ David Guetta, Rajiv Misra, the former boss of SoftBank's Vision Fund, Russian UFC fighter Khabib Nurmagomedov, and Syed Basir Shub, the Pakistani chief executive of industrial colossus IHC. And U.S. prosecutors said that Changpeng Zhao, or CZ, the indicted founder of crypto trading firm Binance, holds one too. So please pay attention, folks, because shit is about to really start to hit the fan. Well, more than it already has been. And it's only going to get worse because headlines like these are going to become more and more commonplace over the next few days and weeks. Red Sea attacks pose another threat to global economy, and the wave of attacks against merchant ships in the Red Sea is forcing companies to send ships on longer routes and threatens to hurt an already wobbly global economy. The recent wave of attacks against merchant ships in the Red Sea, attributed to the Houthi group in Yemen, has significantly disrupted global shipping routes and has broader economic implications like route diversions and the economic impact of such route diversions, where the attacks have led major shipping and oil companies to avoid the Suez Canal, a critical route for global trade. This diversion has increased the shipping distance and time, impacting the global supply chain. And the importance of the Suez Canal, as the Suez Canal is a crucial passage for container ships and fuel tankers connecting Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and the United States. And it has been a strategic and economic focal point since its opening in 1869. Statistically, we will see impacts where approximately 50 vessels transit the Suez Canal daily, and recent data showed a significant number of diversions, with a notable percentage of European imports from Asia and the Persian Gulf affected, as these generally pass through the Suez. And these lead to global shipping concerns, and the situation is described as a slow-burning disaster, causing widespread uncertainty in the shipping industry, particularly for those reliant on the Suez Canal. So far, in regard to international response, the U.S. has announced the formation of a multinational force, including several countries, to address security challenges in the region and ensure freedom of navigation. The corporate response, where companies like BP and Maersk have suspended shipments through the Suez Canal or rerouted ships to ensure safety, opting for longer routes like around Africa via the Cape of Good Hope. Now, there will be massive cost implications, and the rerouting is significantly increasing shipping costs, potentially impacting consumer prices due to higher transportation expenses, and shipping rates have reportedly risen, and additional costs may be passed on to the consumers. The oil prices, which is probably everyone's top focus, and the instability has contributed to rising oil prices, with Brent crude experiencing a notable increase over the past week. In comparative perspective, this disruption occurs at a time when the Panama Canal is also facing limitations due to drought, further straining global supply routes. And for now, we have to speculate on the duration and the overall scale of this impact, where the extent of the economic impact depends on the duration of these disruptions. A prolonged situation could have more severe implications compared to a shorter-term disturbance. Needless to say, this situation highlights the fragility of global supply chains and the significant impact of geopolitical events on international trade and economics. And that just tells me we need to be paying close attention to how that will have a major impact on us here in America, because things are already not looking so hot. with some tragic news coming out of a recent Princeton study that finds unaffordable rents are linked to premature death. So, the study published in the journal Social Science and Medicine highlights the significant health risks associated with high housing costs, increased mortality rates as renters who spend a large portion of their income on rent face a higher risk of early death, and those paying 50% of their income towards rent have a 9% increased mortality risk over 20 years compared to those paying 30%, while this risk rises to 12% for those paying 70%. And a little bit of background on the study. It was conducted by researchers at Princeton University and the U.S. Census Bureau. The study analyzed records from the year 2000 onward to examine the relationship between rent burden, eviction, and mortality. Rising rent and wage disparity, common terms tossed around here recently in this transitory inflationary environment where in the U.S. rents have escalated more rapidly than wages, leading to a significant proportion of renters, especially those with lower incomes, being rent burdened. The correlation between eviction and mortality is essentially the threat. And the threat of eviction alone was linked to a 19% increase in mortality risk, and receiving an eviction judgment increased this risk to 40%. Eviction is associated with numerous adverse consequences, including loss of social safety net benefits, job loss, homelessness, stress, and increased exposure to infectious diseases. And we all know how many infectious diseases are floating around right now and how many more are probably in the works. Now, the impact on health and nutrition as rent-burdened families often cut back on essentials like healthcare and food will take a toll, and households spending 30 to 50% of their income on rent spend significantly less on healthcare and food than those not burdened by rent. There is call for policy change, protesters standing outside with picket signs, and the findings emphasize the need for policies that address housing affordability and eviction prevention as critical components of health policy. Current systems often fail to provide adequate housing stability, leading to increased evictions. And the effective policies and proposals, currently, some cities and states are implementing policies like the right to counsel in eviction cases, which have shown effectiveness in helping renters avoid displacement. Additionally, rent control and social housing initiatives are being considered in various regions. And in discussion for visions for the future, well, the study advocates for a societal shift towards ensuring quality, affordable housing for all, recognizing the direct link between housing stability and health outcomes. And now we're seeing people who are actually beginning to get prepared because middle-class Americans want to know more about how the wealthy make money. And according to Fortune and CNBC, I read that the new year approaches building wealth is a top priority for hardworking middle-class Americans, according to a new survey from investing app Stash. Despite political and social issues, money was the number one concern for most respondents who were polled during the first 2 weeks in October amid House leadership uncertainty in Congress and the start of the Israel-Hamas war. What's more, nearly 2/3 of respondents said that they thought about how wealthier people make money, either sometimes or all the time. So, just to share with you a quick summary of the discussed survey and insights regarding financial security and income diversification in the U.S., it's as follows. And the survey background included a poll conducted with 2,000 Americans working at least 30 hours per week and earning between $50,000 to $150,000 annually, which classified them as middle class, all based on Pew Research Center's definition. Now, the income sources of different classes, the survey found that the bottom 80% of U.S. households primarily earn from wages and retirement income, constituting over 93% of their adjusted gross income. And in contrast, the top 0.1% of households derive less than 25% of their earnings from these sources, relying more on investments and business income, which often offer better tax benefits. And as we're talking about tax incentives and investments, the current tax code encourages investment, offering more favorable rates for long-term capital gains, which are assets that are held for more than a year, when compared to regular income taxes on wages. For 2023, the top long-term capital gains rate is 20%, significantly lower than the top regular income tax rate of 37%. Meanwhile, there is still diversification of income, where Shania Wilson, a certified public accountant, advises wage earners to diversify their income sources, and this approach can lead to more favorable tax treatments and greater financial security. Remember, folks, diversity, security, and cash flow. And as we look at investments as wealth creation, Stash CEO Lisa Landsman emphasizes the role of equity markets in wealth creation, and she suggests that even low and middle income earners can benefit from investing in the stock market. Now, it's important that we understand the long-term financial security strategy. And despite the potential of investing, Landsman cautions that there is no quick path to lasting economic security. She advocates for small, consistent behavioral changes over time to positively impact one's financial health. And essentially, the overall message is that investing in diversifying income sources can lead to better financial stability and tax advantages, especially for middle-class Americans striving for greater financial security. I hope this is very helpful and beneficial to you. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
I can tell you my problems, meditating my silence. But I keep pushing my pen, rotating my stylus. Brokenness feeling like sin, now no breath, low dollar. Used to be left on red, now all the girls go holler. Now all the girls go follow. All the fake